as a business owner in any company.
Oh, yeah.
If you have a customer that is not happy with you, your service, your product, something, but you make them happy, you probably have a customer for life. Welcome to episode 344 of the Real Estate Podcast. Adrian and I today are talking about some landscaping jobs that he did at home and Google reviews. We want to get your opinion. Something happened to us last week and we chatted about it in this episode. We hope you enjoy.
Welcome to the Real Estate Podcast, your go-to source for raw, unfiltered stories and expert tips. Whether you're a buyer, seller, tenant, landlord, or realtor, join us as we dive into the world of real estate.
Looks like it.
Yeah, it's on.
Oh.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Podcast, Adrian.
Thank you. It's been a while because we had our...
Steve and Jen.
Steve and Jen did theirs.
Yeah, we're going to have some news coming down the pipeline. Speaking of Steve and Jen.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if I want to disclose details now or not. Fuck it, let's do it. Coming soon to the KT umbrella of content will be the Real Estate Podcast After Dark.
And this will be them reviewing and providing their opinion on our most recent episodes.
Yeah, and they have total free reign, so they can shit talk, they can comment, they can like, they can do whatever they want to do. Agree, disagree.
But it's a nice way to get a second opinion from people immersed in the industry on topics that are related to real estate, typically.
Yeah.
Sometimes we go off topic.
Yeah. And we're also going to be integrating our other team members more often on the podcast. I think everybody knows you and I quite well. I mean, we're 340 episodes of this in and 200 and something of KT Quick Tips. We've been showing our faces on a regular basis for the past 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
Because pretty quickly after we got into the business, we started recording weekly content almost immediately. So 14 years of us.
Yeah.
Now we're getting old and ugly. So, time to shake it up a bit.
Yeah. Well, they seem excited about it too. So that's nice to give them the opportunity to get on camera.
So anything new and exciting in your life before we get into a little real estate?
Not related to business?
Yeah.
Oh, not really.
No?
I mean,
you redid. I gotta say, I'm gonna let the world know.
Oh, thank you.
That you spent several days, not in concession, but over a period of a couple of weeks, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Extending your paver stone patio in your backyard and repointing a lot of your stones.
Almost all of them, yeah.
And went there last night. We sat on your porch because it was a beautiful evening.
Mm-hmm. Looking forward to the summer for that.
And had a look at it. And I got to say, don't quit your day job, but you're a good landscaper, Adrian.
It's hard work, man. I have, I knew it was hard work, but I have, higher degree of respect for people in the landscaping industry. It's very labor intensive. But it also, when you have the right tools for the trade, it makes things go a lot quicker and it's a lot more enjoyable. We did not. We rented some equipment. We contemplating hiring people, but it was last minute. We wanted it done right away. We're probably going to hire people to do the front because we're not as anxious to get that done. And it's a bigger project. But yeah, it was fun. And it turned out nice. I mean, the true test of time with a patio is time.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it sits. But no, I think we did it right. We followed most, all of the recommended steps and to ensure it's done properly.
Well, we were talking about the fact that both you and I a couple of years ago cleared the existing sand between the
Oh, yes.
Between the blocks, between the stones, and laid down some new polymeric sand.
Yeah.
And did it reasonably well. And it looked fine for the first summer.
Yeah.
But
it didn't last for me. It didn't last more than this year 2. It was already, getting really mossy.
So do you think we did something wrong, or it was the wrong product?
Well, to say that I don't remember you doing it. Like, we did it separately. So I don't know what you did versus what I did. What I did was and this is something that people should consider when selling. I think cleaning up the back patio is important.
It is.
It's
not curb appeal, but it's backyard appeal.
Yeah. And, nowadays, I think always, but, outdoor living space is really important. Yep. And anyway, so when I did it, I had a scraping tool that I, by hand on my knees, hands and knees, I was scraping all the polymeric sand out. And the polymeric sand that was in there from originally was strong. It was quite hard and difficult to get out. And it took me, I think, 2 days scraping it out. It was a miserable task. And then where I messed up was that I did it that way to start. So I didn't get it all completely out.
Yeah.
And when I put the new stuff in, I went over with a mallet and I hit all the stones to try to get it to settle nicely and get into all the cracks. The new polymeric sand, that is. And then I watered it. And the mistake I made was not lifting up the stone. So this year, when we did it, we lifted every stone, scraped it all off, put it all back down. And
nobody's crazy enough to do that but you. The average homeowner like myself.
Yeah.
So what I did is I took my power washer and I power washed as much of the shit that I could out.
Yeah.
I didn't lift a single stone.
Well, my concern with that was that I would knock out a lot of the base layer, which I think was probably it looks the same as what we used.
Maybe I did, and that's why they're shifting now. I don't know.
Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this time we lifted everything up, and then
the other factor too is the winter, right?
What about it?
Well, this past winter we had a lot of snow, right?
Yeah,
and freezing temperatures. So with that, you're getting more moisture in between the stones and underneath the stones, and if it starts freezing, now you have ice shifting things around.
Yeah, for sure, it affects it.
Yeah.
But we rented this like a gas-powered temper, basically. And it's on rollers, so it's made to go over the stone. So first we used it to make sure all the stones were set nicely. And then we used it after we put our first coating of the polymeric sand in, and the cracks were filled up to the top. And we ran it over, and it helped make sure the sand was settled in there nicely. And it dropped almost 50%, which was surprising.
Wow.
So clearly
really
there's a lot of voids in there.
Down,
yeah. So I think that makes a huge difference, which I skipped that step last time.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot of work. That's a project. But now ideally you'd be set now for 3 to 5 years without having to touch it.
If not longer, I would hope. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard of patios that last a decade if they're done right. I don't know if that's maybe a stretch, but we'll see. Hopefully I'm not there in 10 years, or maybe I will.
Well, did you think you'd be living there for 14?
No, we figured 5 years and we're done.
Yeah. Is that what the original plan was for you guys?
I think so. Yeah. I don't know what kind of led us down that path to think 5 years, where our goals were at, but we've been
in a bigger house, right? Upgrade.
Yeah, but we've been quite happy with it. I think finishing the basement and doing the backyard, that adds a lot of functional space, so that probably tide us over.
Do you think a lot of people miss that factor of, instead of upgrading, like if you think of our buyers?
Yeah.
And
it's like love it or list it?
Well, I think there becomes a lot of extra enjoyment in your home. Once it becomes your home, it's not just the house.
Yeah.
So whether it's decorating or adding, as an example, if somebody is into working out at home, and now all of a sudden you have a really nice home gym in the basement.
Yeah.
And it wasn't there when you bought the house, but you made it your own. It becomes more difficult, because now when you look to potentially sell that home and buy another home, you're now automatically trying to replace that to be better than what you currently have.
Yes.
Right? So like your backyard and my backyard, as an example, we were smart enough, I don't even know how many years ago, 10 years ago, I think, to plant the trees and the cedars. And that's the same time we did the patios and all that. For me, if I'm looking at another home and it's a similar size lot and it doesn't have that foliage, I'm immediately disappointed.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and you immediately say, okay, I got to spend 10 grand on trees or whatever it is.
Well, I spent a lot more than 10.
Did you? I don't remember what the cost was back then.
Yeah. So, that would have been with the patio and everything. I think it was like 25 grand for the backyard.
Yeah, so, which nowadays is probably double that.
Now it's
easy.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing, right?
Yeah.
You talk about homes appreciating in value. Well, cost of everything goes up over time. So to finish your basement today, if it's 50 grand, in 10 years, it might be 75 grand.
Yeah.
And that is an association with the value of the property too, right?
Yeah. So, well, I think people move, they don't, there's always one or two big factors that are influencing their move, right? Like it could be, like right now I have a lot of people who are, they don't need more space necessarily. Like I've got people in townhouses who are like, yeah, I don't mind the space of the house, but we would like something detached, right? So maybe they got a 16 to 1800 square foot townhouse. So they'd be happy with an 1900 square foot detached.
Right.
Their main goal is just let's get the detached space with the back bigger yard or the double car parking, whatever it is. But yeah, then there's all those other components that you don't think about it. Now, like in my house, everything's basically done and anything further is just cosmetic. But we have the space for the gym. We have the space for watching movies. We have space upstairs for the kids, space in the backyard.
Right.
We got front porch.
That doesn't happen overnight.
No,
right?
I mean,
like it takes you 10 years to get to the point where you've got everything that you kind of want.
Yeah.
But what I find is by the time you get to that point, there are certain areas of your home that start to get outdated.
Yeah.
Whether it's the floors, the cabinetry, it could even be the layout or something about the home that you just feel like it's getting old and in the tooth.
Yeah. Well, and things that need to be done. So
you're constantly doing stuff.
Yeah.
You have to be. All right. I wanted to ask you something.
Yes.
Non-real estate related, but kind of real estate related.
Okay.
Because of an occurrence that happened on the team this week.
Oh, yes. I know what you're going to talk about.
Do you?
I think so. Continue.
Google and Facebook reviews.
Yeah.
How much, as a consumer, how much weight do you put into reviews? So if you're going to hire a company, let's say you were out to hire a landscaper and didn't do the work yourself.
Yeah.
How are you reviewing these companies before even attempting to contact them for an initial?
I always use reviews, even whether it's for a company, like a service related company or a product, like especially on Amazon. If I'm looking at a product on Amazon to buy, I'm always scrolling down to the reviews. I think there's a ton of value in that because now reviews nowadays are nice because they're, that they're in most cases legitimate.
Well, that's the other thing I was going to ask you is how are there certain areas that you trust more than others? Like I think Google is pretty trustworthy.
I think most are, like Yelp, Google, Facebook, all those. I think they're pretty reliable. I think sometimes you read them and they're not legit. Like usually when it's authentic and done by a human, and it's a legit review, there's ways like it just reads in a certain way, right?
Legit reviews usually have a bit of storytelling in it.
Yeah, like name dropping and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where sometimes you'll see reviews where it's far more generic and it's the formatting of the reviews is very consistent and it's like, it's kind of bogus. So I don't pay too much attention to it. And I generally don't read the good reviews. I just go right to the bad ones. And And I
for products or for services or for both?
Well, I haven't hired a company for a while, so I couldn't say from that side. But from a product perspective, yeah, I usually go to the negative reviews, and most of the time, I find they don't influence my decision a whole lot. Like if I'm sold on a product before I get there, the negative reviews are usually like, it was an unlikely occurrence, or it was a disgruntled person that you just can't make happy anyways, or stuff like that. But as a business owner, I like getting reviews, good and bad. Yeah. Because I think people that are hiring us are probably looking at them.
Yeah.
Right. So I think there's a lot of value to it from both sides.
Well, I use reviews all the time for things like restaurants. Right? Because I like to go to new restaurants all the time and eat at new places.
Yeah.
And that's one of the first
things I've never looked at. I'll always go to their website.
Yeah.
Because I like to look at the menu, see pictures of the venue, whatever. But I don't look at reviews.
Like for restaurants, that's one of the first things I do is go to the Google reviews. I do the same thing. I sort from the least amount of stars or whatever to look at the bad stuff first. Like if people are talking about the restaurant being dirty or smelly or bugs and things like that, that instantly raises some red flags.
Certainly, if for me too, is if there's a high quantity of negative reviews.
Yeah, if you're seeing repetitive comments and they're fruit flies everywhere, and it's a bar, they probably haven't cleaned their beer taps in years.
Right.
Things like that. And then on the flip side, for restaurant, we're not obviously in that industry, but if I've decided, hey, I'm going to go to that restaurant, what are people raving about, right? Like, oh my God, you have to try this pizza. Oh my God, you have to try the margarita pizza, right? And so I'm going there thinking, man, I got to try this margarita pizza.
Yeah.
But what's leading me down? Okay, before I go there, how good are you at leaving reviews?
Well, I wonder if I can see. Let me just log into what would I log into? Google.
Because I think as a business, that's one of the biggest challenges is actually getting people to review. Some businesses will incentivize reviews by do it and you'll get a $50 gift card. Actually, it's funny. I got an email from, what the hell was it now? I got to think what it was. It'll come to me. I got an email to do a review for somewhere that I went and bought something or ate something. And it said for a $50, it was QuickBooks. That's what it was.
Okay.
So QuickBooks sent me a email to take a survey. And in the email, it says for a $50 gift card.
Okay.
And you know how sometimes it says to be entered into
a draw? Like to win it or just to get it?
Just to get it.
Okay.
Not to be entered in a draw. Basically, complete the survey and you'll get a $50 gift card. I'm like, okay, fine. We subscribe to QuickBooks for both businesses. And for me personally, I have it. You do the same thing. So why not provide some feedback on how to improve their service? And I'm going to get a $50 gift card, which I probably would give to somebody anyway, but whatever. So I didn't read the little fine print. I click on the survey and I start. And it says it's going to be a 10 to 15 minute survey.
See, I don't have patience for that.
Well, instead of watching TV or while you're watching TV at night, what's the big deal? Most of my answers, I probably wouldn't have even read the question anyway. Just bang through it and get to the end for the $50 gift card. So I get to the end in like 3 minutes. And it says to me, you don't qualify to move any further in the survey. Thank you for your time.
What?
So I go back to the email and I read the fine print that basically the algorithm of your answers determines the length of the survey.
Okay.
And because I wasn't really providing much value to them, I guess, in however I answered the questions, which I was actually reading and answering them appropriately. They ended the survey short and I got nothing for my time.
That's disappointing.
Like that, talk about being hoodwinked.
Yeah.
And we have a policy of not, what do you call it? Like compensating or rewarding reviews. We do request.
We ask for them.
We ask for them.
Yeah.
But we don't incentivize it. Right? A lot of companies do. They will, hey, leave us a review and next time you'll get a free pizza or whatever.
Our goal is not to influence the review.
Right.
Like
we want the true, honest feedback because that's the only way I believe that a company can know what's happening behind the scenes, know what the client's feelings are about the product, about the service, whatever. And you and I have talked for years because if you go onto our Facebook and Google reviews, they're both 5-star. And we don't have any negative ones. And we're dying to get negative ones for that true authenticity because, you almost think, do people go onto our reviews, see that it's 5-star and glowing remarks and all that and think, are these legit?
Right. I mean, when you read them, they read very legit. Like people
They do.
Mentioning specific
We're just
salespeople.
that good, right? Yeah.
Well, the challenge, I think, so I just looked. I've left 8 Google reviews.
Yeah.
I've also left reviews on products I buy.
Yeah. So on your Google reviews?
They're all decent, 4 to 5 stars. So that's another thing. I think maybe because my name's attached to it, if I had a bad experience, I may, because of the business, I may be a little hesitant to leave a review.
100%. So
if I wasn't a business owner, I wouldn't care. I'd review good or bad, everything.
Right.
But I'm sure that influences my decision.
Yeah. Oftentimes you don't hear about people's poor experiences, right?
Yeah.
Unless they're like really poor.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like for me, our names are known in town. If we go to a restaurant and have a really shitty meal, am I hopping on to Google review and slaying that restaurant and that other business owner in my community?
Right. No, the answer would be that if it was that bad, you'd probably reach out to the owner directly.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I have done, by the way.
Provide constructive criticism.
Yeah.
Rather than defacing them publicly.
100%. Anyway, we got a bad review.
Yeah, we did. This woman was upset. And so I'll give it a little bit of a background on it without mentioning names or anything. But this was an inquiry that came in on one of our rental properties. She was a prospective tenant. The inquiry came in, it got assigned to one of our team members, one of the real estate agents, and they, commenced in their communication via email. And I read the whole thread of emails, so I'm very familiar with it. And she was like super complimentary. Like there was like right down to this, explicitly, clearly saying, this is a breath of fresh air. I'm really impressed by your professionalism and thank you, to sum it up shortly. And then there was one email that the agent on our team sent just as like a last email before they met the next day. And there was one paragraph in it that she interpreted as condescending and started throwing out words like mansplaining and gaslighting and, all these, not trigger words the right word, but, all these terms that people like to throw out these days. And it was completely taken out of context. And for the record too, the email was written by AI. Like the person on our team responding likes to use ChatGPT to make sure his emails are formatted nicely. So it wasn't even our agent's words directly. So to think that the intent was negative is completely uncalled for. Like, there's no way. But this person was just looking for a reason to be upset, and there was no convincing her otherwise. And she sent an email. Just
to elaborate on the ChatGPT component, was more of a preparation checklist template kind of arrangement in that
to summarize
email, right?
the next steps. And
yes,
why we need what we need.
Correct.
As far as documentation,
it wasn't like a normal communication kind of email. It was setting that person up for the meeting the next day.
Yeah. Why are you so specific?
Well, just because I don't want it to sound or come across as somebody contacting us is going to be talking to a fucking robot, right? Like, it's not.
Well, first of all, I don't think that's a bad thing.
What?
That people, I mean, there's no hiding it. People do use AI.
Oh, of course.
In fact, in some of her correspondence, I believe she probably did too.
Dude, I had Jen was laughing at me. This was several months ago. I had a communication with a client who's done business with us for many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
And I swear to God, there were so many emails back and forth. And it was both of us using AI.
Yeah.
And it was, us as human beings got removed from the conversation.
Yeah.
And we both had our AIs talking to each other, because it's built into a lot of email platforms now, too.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, we don't have anything implemented from an automated perspective that can communicate with people, although it wouldn't surprise me if at some point we do.
It's happening. Like, this is the world we live in.
Yeah. But
anyway.
I'll read the paragraph, this is the only thing this person got upset about. Everything else she loved. There were several emails, and like was glowing with enthusiasm at how excited she was at our professionalism. And then there's this one paragraph that reads, keep in mind, we're helping the landlord get a clear and trustworthy picture of you as a tenant. Unfortunately, there is a lot of fraud out there. So the more complete your file, the better. I'll explain more tomorrow, including how I also look into the landlord, because that part matters too. So a couple things there. I did say to this agent on our team, I said, well, I can understand why somebody may interpret keep in mind. That's just those words. You could have said, as you know, right? Like a little change like that can change the tone a bit. But
tonality is
huge.
Like the same thing with text messages, right? Like if people like to communicate via text versus phone call, sometimes the tonality of the text is interpreted differently to different people.
Yeah. Well, and in this case, that probably would have avoided her getting upset. But for somebody to get that upset over it, after being so pleased, just tells me a lot about that person. And my comment to this agent was, honestly, we probably dodged a bullet. She probably would not have been someone we'd want to represent, and probably wouldn't want to be someone we would suggest our landlord consider as a tenant, because they may be really high maintenance.
So I wasn't involved in any of this, but you told me about it last night, and I went down the little bit of a rabbit hole, and she has since deleted the review. After you commented, which was a very nice comment, by the way, and how you handled that. I really appreciated that. I wish the review was still left up there.
Yeah.
But I went into her Facebook profile, which is a public profile, and
it's not anymore, I don't think.
Oh, no?
She changed everything. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I won't say what she does for a living, because we're going to keep it.
No, be respectful.
Respectful. For sure. But this person was posting the people that share like 20 things a day on Facebook of random bullshit. But if you read down, was having issues with the current place of tenancy.
Yeah.
and some of the comments and
I hadn't even gotten that far.
And going through some kind of a litigation or legal lawyer letters or
so he totally dodged a bullet.
Yeah. So thanks for coming in.
And hey, to that point, that's why our process is the way it is. Like if somebody doesn't like our process and can easily get upset, well, thank you. You've already saved me. This is part of the process and why we do it.
It's a mutual relationship, and there's got to be mutual respect.
Yeah.
And we do have a process. And if you don't like our process, there are 100,000 other agents that you can call up and find the one that fits you. Right?
Yeah. Well, she had inquired about 2 of our properties over the last month, so hopefully she doesn't continue because she's already been flagged.
Well, as long as she's flagged. Anyway.
Yeah, but no, on that point, I remember there's another time we had a bad review. One of the agents on our team, I can't remember exactly what it was related to, but it was something to do with knocking on doors to invite neighbors to a neighborhood open house.
They also deleted after.
I know. I don't remember why he got upset exactly. Probably whatever it was. He didn't like something that occurred during the door knocking instance, and subsequently left a review on our Facebook page. I think it was Facebook. And we saw the review and we said, we talked to the agent and said, hey, No,
it wasn't door knocking. It was open house signs, I think, or something, wasn't it?
No, it was door knocking because it was something. I think maybe the guy said no, and the agent was maybe a bit not pushy, but should have walked away anyways. Yeah. Whatever it was. And we said to this person, clearly this guy's upset the way you handled yourself. Take a gift card and a letter and go drop it off, to apologize. And we all decided that was a great opportunity. And that's, as a business owner, we kind of look for opportunities, bad experiences to really showcase.
The best clients you can have as a business are the ones that you piss off.
Yeah.
You make them happy.
Or maybe you're not the one that pisses them off necessarily, but there's a circumstance arises that upsets them.
They're pissed off at your company.
Or not even your company. Maybe they're mad at the seller or the seller's agent.
No, I'm not saying in real estate.
Oh.
I'm saying just as a business owner in any company.
Oh, yeah.
If you have a customer that is not happy with you, your service, your product, something.
Yeah.
But you make them happy, you probably have a customer for life.
Yeah. Well, and this guy dropped off a letter and card and he deleted the review. And we were upset because we wanted, same as this circumstance with this woman, we wanted the bad review. We appreciate the honesty and it makes the other reviews look more legitimate. But to your point about becoming more loyal, my mom has this Breville coffee maker
who didn't hire you as her realtor.
Didn't hire me as a realtor, which is also why her house didn't sell. And
it never sold?
No.
Oh, they're still there.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe you'll get an opportunity. Maybe I should call Cheryl up and see if she's interested in selling.
But they have this Breville coffee maker that has failed on them 3 or 4 times. And Breville keeps sending them replacements.
Right.
And they brag about Breville. They took care of you, but the product's not obviously holding up to what most people would consider okay.
Working?
I don't know the circumstances.
Has it creatively stopped working?
No, genuinely there was problems.
Right.
Yeah, but they keep giving them new ones. I think they stopped recently because they had gone through 4 replacements.
Right.
But now they love Breville because of their customer service. And I've had the same experience with Weber was great, my barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many years later, there's certain components that started to fail. I called them up and within a few days I had replacement parts.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's all I got to say.
Yeah. Well, would love to hear anybody's feedback on leaving reviews. I'm
curious if people are hesitant to leave bad reviews because it's public facing and your name's attached to it, or if you're okay with it.
Yeah.
How you feel about it. And if you haven't reviewed us, please do. Good or bad. Facebook, Google, and actually Yelp. I'm pushing Yelp now because Apple Maps displays Yelp reviews only.
Have you logged into our Yelp page and updated it?
Oh yeah, no.
Okay.
But it has the basic stuff there. So there's one.
I haven't been into our Yelp account for years.
Yeah, I think there's value to that. We've not pushed that at all. So I'm going to start putting some emphasis on that. But
cool.
yeah.
So if you're on Yelp, go on there and leave us a review.
Yeah, even a fake bad review. I'm okay with that too.
And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks for listening to the Real Estate Podcast. And we'll see you next week.
Ciao.
Bye. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Episode 344 of the Real Estate Podcast. Do us a favor. Hit that subscribe button. We'd really appreciate it. 96% of you that are watching the podcast do not subscribe. So let's change that needle. Show us some love and hit that subscribe button. We'll appreciate it so much. Thank you. We'll see you next time.